What is going on, everybody? My name is Jonathan. This is Comic Book Cinema. This is where we bring you the best comic book movie content. Today's episode, it almost sounds like the start of a bad joke. Two youth pastors and two construction safety managers walk into a bar. So joining us today is one of the construction safety managers, Mr. James Arline. Mr. Steal Your Girl. How you doing, James?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I can't complain, man. I'm happy to be here with you, gentlemen. The DNA results are in for Vanilla Ice's son. And Vanilla Ice is the father. What's up, Daisy?
What's up? How's everybody doing? That's funny.
The OG. This is literally like when you think of the OG comic book movie fan, Josh is it. He knew who Vision was before the world knew who Iron Man was. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Josh Jennings.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'm very excited about the episode we have today. We have touched on in the past how we think the MCU should bring the X-Men, or I'm sorry, how Disney and Marvel should bring the X-Men into the MCU. Today's episode is all about how should they bring in the Fantastic Four. There has been a lot of prevalent rumors about Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. It seems like, there's fan casting, but then there's this. I mean, this is just like a whole nother level of rumor and speculation. Anytime you hear about casting of Fantastic Four, you always hear about John Krasinski and his wife, Emily Blunt. John Krasinski is a very talented actor. He's a very talented writer. We've seen that as well in the past too. He's got range. He can be funny. We've seen that on The Office, but he can also be a little bit of a bad A. We've seen that on Jack Ryan and some other stuff. I think it was Jack Ryan.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll start off with that. What do you guys think about those two? And do you think that they would fit into the MCU and fit into those characters?
Yeah, I think when those rumors and the fan concept art and all that started kind of surfacing, it was kind of one of those that, as it's probably one of the oldest rumors attached to Fantastic Four. I think that's just because of the dynamics that specifically John has. And just like you said, he's really kind of wide range in what he can do in movies. Yes, the early content of The Office and all of that, but I do think he has the opportunity to bring just that writing edge that he has. And it's almost like he can help to understand what the watchers and the viewers are looking for. And I think that's been the issue in the past, is just that translation from screen to audience did not do well. And but I do think that they could do, out of all the rumors that have been speculated, I do think that they have great potential to move in the direction of what at least I'm sure most of us have been hoping for due to all the bad renditions in the past. So yeah, I do think they would bring a great opportunity for it for sure.
What do you guys think? Do y'all think that Emily Blunt and John Krasinski would make a good Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman?
I do. I see it. Kind of like how we talked about earlier with the range of characters that he's done, like The Office and so on and so forth. But I'd like to see it. I'm curious. I want to see what they can do.
I was going to say, I have to agree with, based on The Office, of course, just love John. But then when he came out, like with A Quiet Place, and you got to see him and his wife, you get to see that chemistry there, and you get to see the more rounded out, not just the comedic. And so I think it's really awesome to see that and see that range and all that. I think it would be very well. I agree with the other guys as well.
I think that they would kill it and they would knock it out of the park. But I also think that if they casted complete unknowns to jump into those roles, that would work too. At this point, Marvel can do no wrong. I don't think that there might be one, maybe two. I mean, when you say that you can count the amount of people on one hand that they've casted into roles that didn't work out, I really can't think of any right off the top of my head. But I mean, I fully trust in Kevin Feige, Disney. Just call me the ultimate Marvel fanboy, because at this point they can do no wrong. I think the concept is really interesting though. Like, there's rumors and rumblings that possibly in the Ant-Man Quantumania film, we could see Fantastic Four pop up in that, or the X-Men even. But I'm not going to speculate much on how I think they're going to do it. I'll say this though, I think it's going to be very intriguing to see, how do you bring in a team that's so big? I mean, next to the Avengers, in some people's minds, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are bigger than the Avengers, especially pre-2012, before the Avengers film came out. Those teams have been around since the 60s, maybe even the 50s. Josh, how long have those teams been around, the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, you're asking years and you're using me as the OG, so put me on the spot. But yeah, I mean, they were the first family. I mean, I remember some of my favorite comic books, and some where I've got that they've, I think they'll fit in perfectly with Skrulls, because got, that cross the Skrulls, and we've already got them introduced. So I think
rice and Kung Pao chicken.
Yes, and it would be great to see that come in, and I think it could do it with no problem. And so, yeah, you have these that a lot of people don't know, especially unless they're as old as me sometimes, or a comic book fan, that don't know the first films, which they get knocked around, but I like the originals too.
I like the first well, when I say the first, not the very first, the Roger Corman, but the 2005 Fantastic Four. I thought for its time, it was fine.
Right.
It doesn't hold up now, just like a lot of older films don't hold up as well as you think they do, but it's fine. It was goofy and funny, and I even like Chris Evans as the Human Torch. I thought he was probably one of the highlights of that film in my mind. And the guy that played the Thing too, he was pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the main things is the introduction is so key. And I think one thing that Marvel definitely learned is that you can't just bring the entire team in for an original film. Like, they have to be introduced somewhere. They have to be cameoed somewhere, because it's kind of like the question of with Eternals. They're such a long existing group of people, and the questions of like, how do you give an accurate backstory? They were never introduced or never given any other element of introduction in any of the other films. And then you've got to create an entire cosmic origin story. And that was just, for me, it disconnected it in many ways. I enjoyed the film, but I do think there were so many elements that were disconnected because there was some missing continuity between other films. But if you've been watching like the Disney Plus shows and all of those and seeing how that continuity is really flowing, as long as they maintain that and have it doesn't matter if it's some little snippet of maybe even a building or something in the background, something to maintain that continuity, that introduction, those little Easter eggs that we all search for and all are looking for, that really kind of appeal to fans. If you're not a super fan, these things probably don't even matter. But if you're like most of us, we're looking for those things that kind of like, even with Spider-Man, when Matt Murdock showed up for a split second, those are little nuggets that we enjoy seeing. And just, we appreciate that continuity because we might not see him for a while, but he's been officially introduced. And so as long as they do something like that, I think we can potentially have something like that in Doctor Strange too. As a fan, I would love to see an introduction more of that level instead of just a hard start on a film and let's give them a full origin and explain all of that. We've had so many origin films. As fans, we get the understanding of the origin, but let's introduce them speaking to the continuity. I think that would just be my preference.
I kind of hear what you're saying. You're saying that we don't need another origin for, well-known properties like Fantastic Four,
right?
Like Batman, like we're going to get into that later in another episode, but one can use that as an example. In Batman, yep. They didn't really show us the pearls getting ripped off again. They didn't show us all the information that we've seen 1,000 times on screen already. Fantastic Four aren't quite as well known as Batman. I still think you need like a little title sequence, like intro to how it happened, but keep it quick, keep it brief,
right.
And then we'll move on with the story. I think I hear what you're saying, and I think what you're talking about is how they're going to do it anyway. Like I said, I think that they're going to introduce us to the Fantastic Four and Ant-Man Quantumania. and then we'll probably get a Fantastic Four film. But that's my thing. Like, it's going to be a tall task for Marvel to introduce teams that are such a big deal, like the X-Men, like the Fantastic Four. Hey, these guys have always been around, but they were just in the shadows, you know, like, and also the theme that got played with a lot with the original X-Men films isn't going to be the same anymore. Like, because in those films, it was always like, the mutants are our enemy. They were classified as mutants, you know, and they were like outcasts. But now you already have so many mutants, you know, you got Captain America, you got, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Spider-Man, people with superpowers. So how are they going to tackle that issue now? You know, that was always like the main theme of the X-Men. They were almost like outcast, and they were defending the people that hated and feared them, right? So it's going to be interesting. That's my biggest thing. Like, I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they go about doing it. I guess that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What do you think, James? Do you think that Fantastic Four, think they should just put the movie out there, or do you think that they should kind of introduce us to them, kind of like they did with Black Panther and Spider-Man and Civil War? They kind of gave us a little sample size taste, and then they gave us the solo films.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that they should maybe do like a little slight introduction, but we don't need another full origin story of, you know, how everybody got their abilities and stuff. I mean, we've seen it enough times to know, you know, I feel like the majority of people have seen it enough times to know, you know, how that happens. Maybe a light clip of it, you know, but, or maybe like, you know, in parts of the film, you know, a flashback or something like that, but definitely not a full origin story. I'd like to see it just right there.
I will say this. I don't know if I should say this, especially if my wife sees this video, but I'll say it. I think that Emily Blunt is a great actress, but the look for me, just like, of course, I would love to see like a younger, more attractive version of, you know, the Invisible Woman on screen. And, you know, also it would be fun to see complete unknowns. Don't forget Thor, when that movie came out, Chris Hemsworth was a complete unknown. Not Chadwick Boseman. He was already in a lot of films, and not really Benedict Cumberbatch. I guess Marvel really doesn't cast a whole lot of unknowns. I mean, Brie Larson, I guess she was kind of known for a lot of stuff too.
And well, Chris had TV, but still he wasn't known in the capacity. Like, he was comedy, and it really threw, like, it twisted him around. So he, to me, was an unknown in that genre and in that the action films. And you didn't see him if you knew him. You didn't see him, you know, you saw Parks and Rec if you knew that. So
Chris Pratt. Okay, I thought you were talking
I might have said the wrong
Evans.
name.
There's so many different Chris's.
I know they get mixed up. They all look the same, you know.
So I guess at this point, I'm curious, and I don't necessarily like think that they should do it one way or another. Like I said, call me the ultimate Marvel fanboy, call me the mark for anything and everything that Marvel puts out, but I guess that's what I am at this point. I didn't think that we would be getting a Moon Knight series, you know, a year and a half ago. I mean, how crazy is that? So I am just strapped in. I'm ready for the ride, guys.
We can all just probably agree to please don't cast Seth Rogen as the Thing. Like, I did hear that. That's speculation. So as long as that doesn't happen, Seth Rogen being the Thing would just that just puts a bad taste in your mouth, man. I just can't get, just for the simple laugh in and of itself. Like, I just can't do it.
Yeah. He definitely doesn't have the voice that I think of when it comes to the Thing. And he played Pumbaa in The Lion King, right?
Yeah.
For me, that didn't work either. You know, I'm not a huge Seth Rogen fan, so maybe
Me either.
I'm biased.
Yeah, I like Seth Rogen in comedies, but I could see him cast it.
He's not my favorite comedian actor, but he's got some bangers when it comes to the comedy aspect of things.
Yeah.
Pineapple Express, classic. But he needs.
I was going to say the only other thing I saw that I think is interesting is dealing with the quantum mania and the subatomic. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that Fantastic Four, you know, I mean, he went to the subatomic realm a lot. And so I felt like that's where the tie-in was going to come, you know, and I know we're also looking at the multiverse with the I just totally forgot the guys though.
Oh, you're talking about the Illuminati?
Yeah, Illuminati. Yes, yes. I totally
Yeah.
forgot the name. Yeah, but where you can hear voices and you're like, whoa, I can hear X, Professor X.
Charles Xavier.
And I know some of the people that were supposed to be on it, and so I know that probably would be an introduction too, but I always thought that subatomic realm and everything was going to really tie them in because them exploring and just happen upon them or something.
That's going to be exciting to see. That's going to be also wild. Like we've already gotten a lot of wild stuff already as it is. But I think when Doctor Strange comes out, it's going to be absolutely bananas. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Wesley Snipes come back as Blade. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Chris Evans back as the Human Torch. I mean, get ready for some crazy, wild, wacky stuff.
And then some comical crossover with the Captain America seeing Human Torch and being like, well, you're a good looking guy, something like that, where they
Yeah.
Hey, nothing's what's the word? Nothing's off limits in that film. I think it's going to be bonkers. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Fans at home, if you haven't already, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell to get notifications every time we drop a video. We try to drop 2 videos every week. You can find us on Facebook at Comic Book Cinema. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Real Comic Book Cinema. Until next time, have a great day.